Hey guys, welcome back. Today's a beautiful day to start working back on the car. Today we're gonna get the coolant system figured out. The radiator is gonna be mirrored, so the in and out ports will be way better. So let's get started. This is the original Volvo water pump right behind this housing at the front. You can't see it because the cover is on right now. The water goes in the back, so it pumps water into the head, into the block, and then it goes all through the block, and everything that comes up and makes it all around goes back out of the block right here. There's also a port at the back, about there. It's for the heater. And so this is the return, and this is where the rest of the water that comes out of the block comes from. So the turbo will need a feed and a return line for coolant. So I'm gonna be taking my feed from somewhere in this pipe and returning it back in here. Well, this is connected together, so it's important to get the positioning of the lines correct, so it gets the correct amount of flow. So the flow into this pipe has to be pointed towards the water pump, and the flow that's going to be fed, which is coming from the block, should point outward from the block from this pipe. So that's what I'm gonna make right now. I've got some -6 weldable bunks right here. And I've got some pipe which it neatly slots into, so I'm gonna be making little pieces, welding these on, and then notching them so they come off the pipe neatly. So yeah, let's make it. As you can see, these are the two AN6 weld bunks that I welded to a bit of pipe, and I'll be connecting it right here, I believe, and somewhere right here, and we'll get the water pipe off and you'll see what I mean. I'll throw on this air filter as a mock-up. I'll likely still change, but it gives us a good idea of the clearance with the water system. This is the pipe I've added. This will be the feed to the turbo, which will likely go to this one, or this one, might change it up later. And the return, I'll need to make a pipe from this one that will go down and around to the radiator, which is going to be here. I need to connect it with the bottom hose on the radiator, and I also need to add the heater from the chassis from the heater core to that pipe. And also, I think that's it actually. Yeah, that's it. I think that's what I'll need to add. So that's all tacked up and nicely pointing towards the turbo. Now working with this pipe, it's going to go down here to the radiator. Currently this radiator as it sits is original, well, upgraded MX5 part. It's top left and then bottom right. But it has to go to this port and to this port. So still figuring out if I'm going to be mirroring the whole radiator. So this port will be here and that port will be on the other side, and I'll flip around the whole radiator and I'll have a port right at the bottom here and one at the top here, which just has to go to there. So that's what I'm working on. I'm probably gonna do that, and for that I will be needing to connect this port to the end of this pipe. And I've got some pipe with the same diameter, and I'm gonna be making some pie cuts and making a bit of a bend, 180 degrees. This is what we're working with. We got the intercooler pipe right there and the intake, something like that. So this is all the places we've got to avoid, and we're just gonna go down and towards the end of this pipe. I'll probably use a bit of flexibles so I can still move it around as I want, but that's about the gist of it. The original Miata radiator, which this is not, this is a upgraded 55mm thick aluminum radiator, which is a good upgrade for the normal cars. They have the top port at the, well, from the co-driver side, and the other port right there, so it's on the other side. But with this engine being mirrored, this is one of the top ports with the thermostat, and that needs to go to here. And the other bottom port comes out just behind the water pump right there, which I've already started making a pipe on to rotate around. Wait, I can take this off, of course. There you go, you've already seen me make this pipe, and it's pointing towards the bottom right here. That's because I'm going to do something, well, I haven't seen it before, but I'm going to mirror the whole radiator. So I'm cutting out what I've marked here, so this square right there, and just the pipe off of that one, and I'm going to rotate it around and make it point this way, and then I'm gonna rotate the whole radiator. In this case, this part is going to be rotated and it's going to be here, perfect for going there to there, and the bottom pipe is going to be on the other side, and that's going to rotate to right there, which makes sense for the water pipe that I already made. So cutting this, I have to be extremely careful with the aluminum so it doesn't get in there, and I have to clean it very well and weld it myself. But so far I've gotten quite comfortable with the aluminum welding, so we're gonna see how well it turns out, and I'm gonna be careful with this new radiator. This is to prevent all the shavings from going everywhere inside of the radiator, well, as much as possible, and I'm gonna be cutting it quite lightly, so don't cut it too deeply at first, and then when it's almost through on each side, then I'll make the final cut and prevent as much debris from getting inside here as possible. Oeh.
Je kunt toch niet voorkomen die...
Nee, stofzuiger. Ja, dat is... That's amazing. Oh, you can see the marks that they made. Look. This is a turnaround. I am going to try and weld this now. I do have quite a big gap here, and it butts up right there, but most importantly at the bottom, which I'm most scared of because it's the end of the end tank. But I'll be able to fill this in. Let's try. I've never tried welding end tanks, but it should be very similar to a normal aluminum. Yeah, let's get it. I'll just remove these as well. I'm actually extremely happy with that, how that turned out. I've been getting better at aluminum welding. It's still quite new to me, but yeah, especially at the top I got some okay beads, but at the bottom I had a lot of junk in there. You can probably see that better than I do at the moment. And at the back it's also tight. So yeah, pretty happy with how that turned out. I'm going to be doing the same on the other side, and you'll see that right now. And then we'll fit it in the car and see how it turns out, and see if we can find some tubing to fit this to the car. That's where that's supposed to go. Let's get it welded up. Here it is all welded up. It doesn't look like much special right now because it looks like a normal radiator, but you can kind of tell. I still need to sand these down, but at one point this was the front and now it's not anymore. This is the plugged up hole, and here this has been swapped, and that's the new outlet right there. So let's get it into the car and see how well it fits. I do need to clearance it right there and right here, because I think this used to be a little bit different, or it was a little bit higher on this side or something. Maybe, I don't know exactly, but it's sitting right there and I need to clearance it. Because I just mirrored the radiator, I can actually, I figured this out later, but the knobs onto which the mounts, this is actually from an NB, they slide on, but they're out of the center. Because it's now mirrored, they are further backward, which my clamps won't reach that anymore. Same on the other side. And I will be modifying this, making a new plate so it bolts up again. So let's make that. I actually ended up modifying the bottom brackets as well. I made a little bushing where the radiator rubber pieces slot into, and I welded it to the bottom of both brackets. I previously modified this because this is an NB bracket which actually fits the NA chassis. For the bottom radiator mount, the original NA ones have 2 bolts going in the back right there. Those mounts are gone and I'm using NB mounts, and these are actually chopped off. Normally this had 2 holes and I had to modify this one because this is actually the hole for the AC condenser. So my radiator is moved about this much forward, which is possible by removing the front. And I did this way back when I turboed the car initially because I needed a bit of space for the intercooler piping, but now it comes in handy because it creates a bunch more room in the front of this car for other stuff. So I'm gonna get this mounted up and put a radiator in. That's the radiator mounted up. I use these rings as you saw at the bottom, and I've also made a set for the top so I can make some little strips going from the hole to this part and mount up the radiator. The piece of scrap I had was basically the perfect size, which is really funny because it was just a strip with 2 holes. I just had to cut it in half and bend it a bit, and these actually came out really good. So I'm gonna notch them a bit and I'll tack them on. A little bit of work with the angle grinder and I got 2 notches in there. So I guess I'll just hold it on and tack it on, I guess. Easy peasy. That's enough to get it started. And same on the other side. Don't want to melt the rubber. There it is. They turned out really nicely. Yeah, that looks neat. Nice. It's way cleaner than the bulky ones, than these original ones. Like way better, and still just as stiff and just perfect. Probably weigh a bit less too. That's the radiator mounts you just saw me make, and the bottom ones as well, right there. Hope you can see that. It's just a little bush as well, the same as at the top, but on the original NB radiator mounts. So, this pipe, after a bit of figuring out, I really like the first section, but I really don't like the kink that's in here, and I need to go to here. But for serviceability, I've decided that I'm gonna be chopping it about here, then put a silicone bit and a silicone bit here and a pipe in between. So that's to make it easier to, if I ever want and need to be here from the bottom side as well, I can just take out that bit of pipe and it looks a lot neater, and it's easier to get this pipe, the whole thing, in its position, because there also needs to be a pipe going backward to the heater, which is quite tight. So here's the pipe I made. It's just 3 pieces with a bit of angle, and actually welded a thick as possible bead on the outside, and this should serve as like on the original, serve as something for the hose to hold on to. So I should do the same on the main pipe as well, and I'll do that later, but I don't have hose for now. And one more thing that I need to add, or 2 more things, is from here there needs to be a pipe going back to the back of the engine. That's for the heater, and also need to plumb in a return for the water for the turbo. But that's for the next time, because the pipe is way easier to make when the engine is out of the car. So next time we'll be taking it out. I'll be making a little pipe going from somewhere here all the way to the back with a barbed fitting, so I can route it to my heater. And you might say there's 2 ports here. That's because there's another port, that's the entry for the heater. That's at the back of the engine right here. There's a knob I can't show you. I'll show you when the engine's out next time. So yeah, that's the heater core, and this is where the return and the feed go, but I think I already showed you that. One more thing, we redid the oil return for the turbo. Now it's just 2 barbed fittings at the bottom of the block and at the top for the turbo oil return. And this is way easier, because I was scared with the in-10 lines that because it's such a short line and it's just straight, if you tighten both fittings it has to either stretch or be pre-compressed and be hard to get in, and a bunch of problems. And on my old setup I also ran this type just with a bit of hose, and I've made sure to keep it as far away from all the hot stuff like the exhaust manifold and the, I can't really see it from the V-band where the turbo mounts to the manifold. So I've kept it as short as possible without being close to hot stuff, and turned out really nicely, yeah. Actually ended up having some scraps. I'll replace these with black, of course, but this is what it's gonna look like. Pretty good. Thank you guys very much for watching. We got quite a bit done today. I'm happy with how this coolant system turned out, and especially with the aluminum welding on the radiator, because this turned out pretty much better than I expected. Still need to clean it up a bit, remove some tacks at the front for the fans, to mount the fans to, but that's for a different day. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.